Hello, hello, hello. Back looking like me. Like Jay-Z said, Volume 3, I'm back looking like me. I am here. This is Everyday Experts. I'm Joker, Sir Joker, Achille Joker, Joker, Achille, whatever acronym, pseudonym, name you would like to use. Not that name, Jimmy. That's not a nice one. Um, and it's only fitting that we make our return episode with my partner in crime. That's a good question. Where is everybody? They'll be here or they won't, but we're still going to have our conversation. Um, so, the man who needs very little introduction because I literally introduce him every month and then I introduce him all the time besides that. Coming to your local screen, my friend, the man, the myth, James Nails.
That's a new one, James Nails. It's like I'm middle aged now, so I guess or I will be in a week. So I guess it's my grown up name.
Mr. Nails, how are you, brother?
I'm here. Part way through a move right now, which is why the tank top and the wet hair. Please forgive.
I thought you were putting on a gun show.
No,
this is the thunder. This is the lightning and bringing the storm.
My muscles are growers, not showers.
I like that. Before we start, the untimely, sad passing of Mr. Garth. I know he was very present with the World Girls, and we don't talk about the World Girls a lot, but he was very present with the World Girls. He was in a bunch of other networks. I think I first ran into him on Christian's on Collider. That said, yes, I know he was a fellow, and unfortunately, he liked Captain America as well. I talked to him a little bit when he was on one of the higher chairs. Then I know he's been in and out the hospital a lot. So I know you were probably a little bit closer to him than me. Anything you want to say for the Garth?
To be honest, I'm still kind of in shock. It's like to just reiterate what everybody's been saying about it. Like, yeah, we knew he was in the hospital, but he had been in and out of the hospital a million times. So we had no reason to believe this was going to be the one where he wasn't. And it kind of sucks. But there's never a good time for the loss of someone in their 50s.
Such a nice guy, too.
He really is. And it's like the good ones like that are always the ones that go young, unfortunately.
And that's what's sad. It also makes you look at your mortality. You're like, oh, only 5 years older than me. Maybe 7. Right. Maybe 52, 53, but it wasn't like he was years and years and years older than us.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. No kidding.
All right. Are you ready to take flight, sir?
Yes. I said
hi, Linda.
Oh, yeah. I should probably finish sending out those messages.
You should.
That I was sending when you wrote me.
You can do that, and I will.
A sec.
I'm gonna let Jimmy get his nails pals in. Experts is gonna be changing a little bit. I'm trying to make it more nuanced. I'm trying to bring on guests, maybe not as consistently. It might not be 2 a month. It might be 1. I'm trying to bring on people who I want to have conversations with. Make it more like an event, have it be more fun. Trying to lean a little bit more into overtly opinionated, our other show. We want to kind of diversify some of the topics. I know we've been pretty diverse. We're hoping we can do a Barbie review with Cena early next month. I have to actually get to the movies to see it.
And that fucking movie, though.
It's been a lot. Trying to get ready to go. So we're gonna do that. Experts gonna change up a little bit. And we'll talk about how he's gonna change too. Cena is still, I guess, a host. Lisa is still a host, although
In theory.
now, in
I don't
theory,
know about the practice, but in theory.
right?
Both of them.
So we're gonna, make it a little bit more. Maybe make it a little bit more debate. I know we do the topics, but sadly enough and scarily enough, we've been sort of on the same page about most things, which is starting to scare me.
That's proof that the world has become ridiculously polarized. That you and I are like, okay, yeah, the nuanced middle. Whatever that is, that's where we are.
Right.
It's sad and frightening.
It is.
There.
Let's see. All right, let's take flight. First question.
Yes, sir.
All right. First question. If you had a mantra from when you were a teenager and a mantra for you now, what would they be? What would kind of be like the guiding mantra from you then and now?
They would be the same words, but with different inflections.
Of course it would.
In high school, the mantra would have been, fuck it. And now the mantra's, fuck it.
I'm more mature, fuck it. I got it. I made that track.
You know, a more like relaxed and calm version of the same thing.
That makes sense. I could see that. So when I don't have a lot of questions about the gelato shop. So tell us how that's going. I know you
very well.
2-3 months in, right?
Yep. June, July, August.
Nice. Are you finding that you're liking it as much as you thought you would?
I love it. There's a new flavor every week, which I'm very proud of. That there's like a new design every week that you can only get for a week. Like Friday to Friday, new flavor, try it. And like if it sells like gangbusters, it joins the regular roster. But that's like a personal challenge for myself as the person inventing them. It's like come up with something new every week. Keep the gears turning in the world sharp, you know.
Hello, Faye. Hello.
My sister and my brother. Awesome. Hi, Jake.
Jake, aka Mr. Khaki. How have you been, sir?
Never heard you call him that before.
Huh? I call him Khakis all the time.
Oh, that's funny.
New flavors of the month. That's awesome. I told you we're doing
flavors of the week.
I'm sorry, flavors of the week. We're doing Carter Beck 2024, so we'll be back in Chicago next summer.
Right
towards August. So I know we wanted to do open mic. So I know that's something we're looking forward to.
I can hook you up with that too. I do that too.
I know you do. So I said we.
Yep.
We. That was me, you, the Red Dragon. Well, me and Rob had originally talked about it, and we had included you in the conversation. I think it was fun. And hopefully by then he'll be dusting off his guitar sometimes. You know.
Yep.
Oh,
yes!
Bring in the smoke.
These people don't know me like that.
They don't. I don't blame you.
Not wrong, no.
I don't blame you, Jake. I'm just like that. All right. So, you have a meme on your Facebook page, sir.
Yeah.
This is a deep question. It says, I'm tired of working on myself. I will now be unapologetically insane.
Yep.
What does that mean for you?
When I posted that, I was in kind of a rage,
I love it.
specifically about my parents' inability to be different, even when like smacked in the face that their need to be different.
Okay.
But like I'm experiencing that a lot in the world, that there are people who just like refuse to do the work of being human, and I don't get it. And like people who think the world should be shitty for the next generation because it was shitty for them, and I don't get that. And it just like sometimes I kind of fail to see the point of making an effort to get better when no one else is.
Oh, interesting.
And like that's in moments of weakness of mine, to be fair, where it's just like, I'm pissed off about somebody not, doing something juvenile.
That makes sense. Was your desire to begin your trans journey, was that the beginning of you kind of working on yourself? I know.
I wouldn't say the beginning. I would say the catalyst.
Okay.
Because it's the thing that like made me realize I needed to go to therapy and made me start studying philosophy, because I was very like, if this isn't right, what else is completely fucking wrong?
Okay.
So not so much the action as like the kick in the pants to do the action. Does that make sense?
Okay. So then was the actual action, was that the culmination? Was that the end of the physical part of your journey?
No, because there will never be, as long as I'm, and this is a little bit both vulgar and gross, and I apologize for that, but as long as like I'm shooting synthetic hormones into my body every week, there's never going to be an end to the physical, because it's always going to be in flux. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I didn't know you do hormones every week. So if you stop doing the hormones, what would happen?
There would be a rush of feminine hormones in an attempt to balance it out, which would really fucking suck. And like, period would come back with a vengeance. Probably breast tissue would start to grow again. It would basically slowly undo everything.
Wow.
Until I go to the effort of getting the ovaries scooped out. But that's a really expensive surgery that I can't do right now.
Now is that the gender reassignment?
For trans men, what constitutes, like, in terms of legality, a gender reassignment is usually the removal of the breasts, because a lot of trans men don't do bottom surgery or other kind of rebuilding. Bottom surgeries generally don't work and cost you function. So, like, I've never really seen the point of that, personally.
Wow. So they don't work, so...
I mean, it is a lot of pain and suffering for minimal effect, in my understanding.
So let's say, in theory, somebody gets, say you wanted to add a piece. How would that work? And I know in theory you're supposed to be able to get hard and all these different things. Is that true? Have you seen that? Do you know?
There are a series of procedures
that
have a series of effects that mount to small versions of the anatomy, but it's really more like when human beings are developing, the head of the penis and the clitoris are the same tissue.
Yeah.
And there's like a branch of the clitoris that goes up inside the flesh.
Mhm.
So what they do is cut away the flesh around that so that the extended clitoris is basically a small, like a micro penis. But it's never going to be more than that. You know, it's never going to be more than like the length of your pointer finger because there's just not that kind of tissue, unfortunately.
How would it change the intimate, like the sexual experience for you if you did, like if you had a penis?
That's two different questions. If I had a penis or if I had the reconstruction of the female genitalia to function semi like a penis. Those are two very different answers, my friend.
Yeah. B.
First thing, everything would be different. I'd have to have a whole new set of training to develop a whole new set of skills, Not something I actually want, to be honest.
Okay.
Because, I've been told it's unnecessary. I've been told I'm good enough at everything else that I don't need it.
Okay.
Not to toot my own horn too much there.
But two bitches.
I'm not the one saying it. I'm just recounting the information.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of answers both questions, I feel like. The surgery has never appealed to me. If for no other reason than like it can kill sensation. So what's the point?
That would defeat the part.
It's just like I have no feeling in any of this because of the top surgery. None at all. It's just dead. Like it feels like when your foot falls asleep and has for years.
So this is a very uniquely you question. How would it have been easier to just dress like a guy, cut your hair and do all that stuff? And I'm not trying to knock your transition or any of your surgeries or any of that. Do you think it would have been easier?
Easier in what way? Like easier in the world, perhaps.
No, easier for you.
In my soul, absolutely not.
Okay.
Like I did that for a long time, where I identified as like a stud, But there was more to it than that, because I still winced when I got called ma'am, or I still never ever quite felt comfortable in a women's bathroom. It was a deeper thing than just aesthetics.
Okay. That's why I'm asking.
It hurt.
I know.
And that's why I'm answering.
Linda's starting problem.
Always.
So, how has it? You had your surgery 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
Immediately before the pandemic. So it'll be 4 years in November.
Oh, happy anniversary! It's coming up.
Yes, it is.
How are you adjusting? And you talk about this often, inadvertently. How are you adjusting to being a guy?
See, that is fucking weird because it was this delayed thing because of COVID. Because I wasn't dealing with people.
Uh-huh.
Or at least I wasn't dealing with people who I wasn't just meeting. Because I met all of you guys and everything, but you didn't know better.
Yeah.
You just knew this,
Yeah.
So it was this weird delayed thing, which kind of fucked my brain about it, because I built myself up,
Uh-huh.
But I feel like I'm thinking about it more now that it fits, weirdly, because I'm always thinking about I shouldn't walk too close behind this woman because she's going to think that I'm going to fucking grab her or whatever. John Mulaney has a great bit about that, about he's in a train station late at night and he's following this woman through the train station, and then she takes off running, and he thinks she's running for the train, so he takes off running, And then halfway through, he realizes she thinks he's chasing her, and it's like, oh. And like I have those thoughts all the fucking time because I am clued into how women feel when a man walks 2 feet behind them versus 5 feet behind them, or like I'm always holding doors, and just because I'm like hyper vigilant about not being scary, because I'm also kind of big, you know.
I hear you. Okay.
So it's like a weird twist that I was really not expecting. Also, at the joking kind of, but also not, why are men's rooms perpetually gross? Like, what is that about? Like, people have trouble aiming their dicks. Is that what the issue is?
To be fair, some of the women's bathrooms are pretty nasty.
Oh, fair. But that's only sometimes. Men's rooms are all gross. Every one I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
Different degrees of gross, but all gross.
So, I think maybe because I'm bigger than most people, that I'm always I'm aware of like my presence around people. Yep. So I'm cognizant of that. Lego. I think that's interesting though. All right. So
that was a weird kind of not answer to your question. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're saying that you're more cognizant. Does being more aware of it, thinking about it more, make it harder? I shouldn't say harder. Make it more of a challenge to feel like a guy as opposed to, you know.
No, because I don't want to be. We talked about this on the last Overtly Opinionated. I don't want to be a guy like that. I want to be like, to use the parlance of the day, I kind of want to be a Ken. Like, I just want to be like, I'm okay with being around women who are more powerful than me. And like, I don't want to be, exactly, like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be an average dude. Because average men fucking suck. Average men suck. I want to be better than that. And I want to encourage other men to be better than that.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
You know, by example and all that jazz.
Look at you.
So, I didn't say I wanted to be. I didn't say I wanted to be Ken. I said I wanted to be a Ken. Like there's
the movie ago.
A language thing there, a slang thing there going on.
So, one of the things that we got into, but we haven't gotten into, is your sister, correct? You lost your sister?
Yes. One of
okay.
Them.
Yes.
The ones in the chat.
Linda, right?
No. Faye Dragon is like.
Oh, Faye.
That's okay. Gypsy. That's my dear.
All right. So, do you mind questions about your sister or no?
How about this? I reserve the right to decline to answer.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That makes sense to me. So how does the law sit with you now? How do you feel about it? How are you kind of dealing with it? What's going on in your head, in regards to your sister now?
I genuinely and generally do not think about it in the day-to-day unless it's an anniversary. Okay. Somebody else dies that makes me think of it. Like somebody else I know had somebody they care about murdered, or something has to happen to make me think of it.
Right.
It doesn't live rent-free in my head anymore in quite the way it used to. Unless I'm spiraling for other reasons. Then I have a tendency to be like, and you weren't there for your fucking sister. Yeah. But like, it doesn't just come up like that anymore. Like it used to. And that's
I try to feel like I try to kind of see what it's like compared to like my parents. But it's a different I know it's a different dynamic. So I just kind of understand. So,
Murder by its nature is abrupt and unexpected in
yeah.
a way that, like, I mean, I don't know the nature of your parents' death, but like losing a parent naturally, I'm presuming, is like also a very heavy grief, but it's like the difference between like a dull throb, like a constant ache, and like
Mhm.
a steady pain, you know?
Yeah. I would
Does that
say,
descriptor make sense?
yeah, because I would say it's more like a loss of security with them.
Yeah, I can dig that. Thankfully, I still have both my parents, so I don't know, but I can imagine.
Oh, I wouldn't expect
Yes,
to.
but they can definitely be categorized. Like, there are generalities that can be made, I think.
Do you have any kind of like rituals, the way you pay homage to your sister that you kind of practice or things that you do? I don't know if there's like.
She taught me that, uh, to quote Kurt Vonnegut, damn it, you have to be kind. Like, she was a sweet, loving human being that could befriend anyone with enough time. Like, she was charisma incarnated, that woman. And
Mm.
I'd like to think I took a little piece of that into myself. And that, like,
You made it dark.
the ability to find common ground with anyone given enough effort or time. And, like,
Okay.
practicing that you can find middle ground with anybody. And you can find something to talk about happily with anybody. And,
Uh,
like, lack of judgment also is a part of that, I think.
I like it. Uh, in my preparation for the
A lot
chat,
of fucking paper. Jeez. That's an unexpected amount of notes.
I told you I was gonna bring this smoke today. I
Bring
found
it.
some. I found some quotes about loss. Um, Although it's difficult today to see beyond the sorrow, may looking back in memory help comfort your tomorrow. The next one by William Cowper. Grief is itself a medicine. Then from the Wonder Years, I know you'll like this. I like this one. This one made me think of you. Memory is a way of holding on to things you love, the things you are, the things you never want to lose. You, old Chinese proverb. You cannot prevent the birds of sorrow from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from building nests in your hair.
I like that.
And then the last one, which is going to lead to a question. No one ever told me that grief felt so much like fear by C.S. Lewis. Um, the
A
question
wise,
is,
a wise man, Mr. Lewis.
question was, what was the biggest fear you faced when you lost your sibling? Or you realize, I didn't even let you explain to realize.
I have always been and kind of built my personality around being a defender. And, like, losing her the way that I did knocked my foundation out from under me. Which was my biggest fear at the time. Like, it was a fear realized. But because of that, I have built back better and am now fearless because the
Okay.
worst has happened. I've lived the worst that could be. And
Ooh.
survived.
So, this question is one that came to me, and I figured that it would be one that you could take whatever direction that you want. Talk
Ooh, an
about
open-ended question.
you said that your grandparents affected you a lot. Very important in your life. Obviously, your sister is very important in your life. Who, I think I have an idea where you're going to go, but who's affected you or had an impact on you more? And I shouldn't say more, but in a way that it made you be better.
Grandma, and
Okay.
here is why. She is the one who instilled the defender thing in me to begin with.
Ah.
And like both of my grandparents, but both of them. Um, because they lived through World War II, because they both did what they did during World War II, which is an hour-long story in and of itself. They were both defenders of their peoples and countries. Um, literally everything that I am spawned from ending up being raised by the greatest generation and not the boomers. Like, that's why I love Captain America so much. Is because in a lot of ways I feel like a man out of time myself. God, that sounds lame when I say it out loud, but it's true.
Great.
Because, like, I was raised with a lot of greatest generation, both morals and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I also bring in the modern, acceptance piece.
Yep.
And I think that's like the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a real, like, grounded, realistic way of thinking that I got from my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this, like, pie in the sky, why can't we all just get along and be friends and sing Kumbaya thing that together I think create something healthy.
Okay. Last question about that. You're at dinner with your sister and your grandparents. What kind of gelato are you making for them?
If I built them a flavor, like what was the question?
What kind of flavor? What flavor would you give them, or what flavor would you make for them?
Grandpa would be black licorice because that was his thing. Grandma would be like something classy, like strawberries and champagne, because she was a classy lady. And my sister would be red hot cinnamon.
Red hot cinnamon.
Cinnamon, but like hot tamales candies, where it's like spicy and then sweet and then spicy again.
Okay. So you have one night when the whole family, your mom, dad, your sister, your grandparents, your other sister Faye. What are you cooking for dinner?
Whoa. Chicken and wine. My grandmother's chicken and wine recipe.
Chicken and wine?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a French thing. And like it's one of those dishes where like it's like a minute to learn, a lifetime to master. And I've always wanted grandma to try mine.
Oh. For her to tell you that it's not as good as hers?
In all honesty, probably, but I'd accept it.
Okay. Well, you have no choice. That's Graham. What would you say to her today?
Try again, closer to the mic.
What would you say to her today? You can't hear me?
You need to talk louder, friend.
Me?
Yeah, you. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
No, I can hear you now, but it's like fading. I think you sat back halfway through the sentence or something.
Oh, I said. It could be my microphone. So I said, what would you say to her today?
Her being my sister?
Yeah.
Oh.
Your sister.
I'm sorry.
I like moving. Legos.
It really is as simple as those two words. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. That's fair.
And I hope you're proud of what I've become since.
I think she is. All right. Let's get to it. So me and Jimmy have this. We're waging a war against Snow White.
Okay, that's a strong word. That makes it sound like I care a lot more than I do, sir. But it does annoy me.
So Rachel Zegler, that's her name, right? Rachel Zegler. She's playing Snow White in the live action Snow White that's coming out in 2024. There's been a bevy of controversy around, I guess, the storyline and how she presented it. Peter Dinklage got involved. We started talking about this on Overtly Opinionated last time. But I pulled some articles and some quotes and stuff like that. And basically, me and Jimmy started talking a little bit about it before the show. So, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on what Snow White is going to be? Are they doing too much? Is it too woke?
Yes. Yes, they are doing too much. It's too woke, whatever. What does that word even fucking mean? But here is my thing, which is like kind of almost agrees with the right, unfortunately, but for completely different reasons.
Okay.
At the point where you are changing the core elements of a story, write a new fucking story. Come up with something new. Produce something different. Like,
so me and Jimmy were talking about this a little bit, and I'm sorry, Jimmy, I don't mean to cut you off. I did want to say that the whole idea, like, I know we want to diversify and make Ariel black and make, the genie black, all this stuff. Well, the genie was blue in Aladdin, but Snow White's supposed to be white.
The name Snow White is a descriptor of the fucking character. But what profits? Like, the live-action Lion King tanked.
The rate they're going, they're not going to have profits because
they're talking about making a live-action Nightmare Before Christmas, which, first of all, how? And second of all, why? Like, that's going to be about as live-action as The Lion King was, which was not at all. It may be realistic-looking animation, but it's still fucking animation.
Yeah.
Hey.
So Legault said Snow White is about a little who escapes an abusive household and what she has to do to survive and gets abducted by a necropedo. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother degree of like, do we need to keep telling Grimm's fairy tales at all?
And this is what me and Jimmy were talking about.
I came up with a better analogy, or just like a more solid analogy, when I was having this same argument, but about Little Mermaid, which is like, there are stories about mermaids that are essentially the same idea about like mermaid goes on land and falls in love with landman. In the mythology of Yoruba, that like tell that story, make all the characters black, cool, and it's not fucking shoehorned diversity.
Yeah.
Do that rather than trying to cram diversity into stories that were written by blonde German white men.
Well, shocker, the brothers were blonde German white guys, and most people that from what I've seen, and this is not like a blanket statement, write from their experience. They write what they know. So they're writing about what they know. Now, what kind of irks my soul about what Ziegler is saying is that, let me see, hold on. That's right, I did my
You can
homework.
read that quote.
Yep. Um, she said, oh, I don't have it, but I have it. I know she said that it's not a love story. It's about Snow White finding her true calling as a leader or as a boss, whichever she said. And then she said that
Of the Seven Dwarfs? Is that the logic there?
I, I don't know what she said, because she said it's not really a love story. She said Snow White's whatever many years old, and the guy trying to fall in love with her was a stalker basically, which is weird. And I was just like, probably not how it goes, but okay. Um, but she said a bunch of stuff that I don't know how. I don't know if.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Changing the art that already exists. They need to quit looking at it from the lens of today's socialism.
Oh, that is like my biggest fucking grinds my gears thing. Is as like as an art historian, and as like a pop culture historian, is like you can't take a story that was written 25, 50, 100, 100 plus years ago and
Right.
shoehorn it through today's morality. Like you have to look at historical things from their historical time period, like the milieu that was going on around them. It's like
And-
I don't know. I don't know if you saw this thing that popped up about Judy Garland doing blackface. Like, A, if you know anything about that, you know damn well Judy Garland was dope to the gills and didn't have a fucking choice in what she did. And B, it was the 1930s. Like, not saying it was okay, but blackface was a thing people did then.
She said Snow White will not dream about true love. And then one of the quotes I said, many female commentators are arguing that they want to see the true love element, which I can see.
That's the fault of Disney. Like, the love element of that story is only present in the Disney version. Like, the glass coffin is supposed to be age and aging. It's a story about coming of age, and also that don't take food from strangers bit.
So, I was reading comments. One of the comments said,
Okay,
all right, hold on.
What I meant was judge. You can't judge it through the lens of today. I misspoke.
So one of the quotes I saw said, I probably would have seen it had it been a thoughtful remake, but it seems they casted a Snow White who is unkind at best, and then basically saying women can't or shouldn't dream of romance and still be able to achieve their goals. This is a little opposite of the widely accepted feminist viewpoint. For starters, male leads in media are frequently depicted as top of their career and still get the girl. For some reason, these directors seem to think that women want to be boxed into one role, with the exception that now it's not the love interest. She's a girl boss leader. Women want the same thing that men are able to have, like a job and romantic life, because we just want to be depicted as well-rounded people in the media. I like that quote.
The magic word there is choice.
Yeah.
Like, all people should have the choice. If child rearing and family is the thing you choose, cool. If not child rearing and a career is the thing you choose, cool. If somewhere in the middle is the thing you choose, cool. It's about choosing. Like, that is the girl power thing.
I agree. A big part of the argument that I have seen also is the idea that it's politicized. Hold on. Before he saw I told a story, Space Dude rolled up and kissed the dead child.
Yeah, that says it all.
He kissed her though, lovingly.
And it's supposed to be true love's kiss. Like, that's the
Yes.
point. That's why it wakes her up. But, like, who's true love? Oh, I was gonna get to that. I was gonna
Go
get
ahead.
to that. Because that's another one of those yes, but not in the way the people that are saying it means things. It's like, yes, it is politicized.
Oh yeah.
In that identity politics are a thing. But the only people politicizing it outside of identity politics are the people who are then complaining about it being politicized, which annoys me. And it really bothers me. Yeah, yes and no. It's like, part of reading is giving things the meaning you give them, whether that be none or all.
So another comment. I thought this one was just interesting. They just saw that the remake has some progressive elements and that goes against the right-wing social and political agenda. So it needs to be hated and canceled. That's it. It doesn't matter that it's a little girl film and these grown men aren't the target audience. They're only using Snow White to push their politics, their agenda, and their culture. Bless you. I don't think it's about grown men being a target audience. I just think that the messages, first of all, that Rachel is talking about are off. I think them trying to jam colorization into everything. Let's make Ariel black. Let's make this one black. Let's make this one Spanish. Let's make Ariel. The whole family was different minorities. Like,
which doesn't even really make sense.
There's Angelina Jolie stealing black babies and sending babies, but besides that, like, does that happen where you have that whole array of just different looking people in a family? And I know you're trying to represent everybody, but sometimes it's just okay. I think they're trying to capitulate to too many different people.
Can I say a thing as a writer that I think is really important? That is only tangentially connected to what you just said, but it was just like floating around in my head as I was listening to you talk right now. The best way to get true diversity in pop culture and film and TV and whatever is to create a diverse writers room and just let people tell their stories.
They're not allowed that. Everybody's on strike.
Rather than shoehorning shit into other shit where it doesn't really fit, like trying to squeeze a circle into a square hole. Like, just give out more microphones. That's the answer.
But the Directors Guild and the Producers Guild don't want to give out. They want to give out less.
I know it. We can talk about that too. I have my feelings on that nonsense.
I'm sure you do. I just like talking about Snow White because the whole idea, like, of just the premise of what they're trying to do, to me is it's probably cool.
It is indicative of the argument, the greater set of arguments, for sure, in a real way. All of Disney needs to just be burned to the ground and start over, truly.
I think, well, you're presenting a duality. You can't tell me that you're going to take these old stories and update them with new ideas, but then get mad because people are taking they're old stories. Write new premises, write new ideas, just like you said. Write new shit.
Yep, you would think. But, like, it is near impossible to get an original story told these days, with the exception of the stuff A24 makes. Bless them.
See,
Yeah.
I do care about the casting in that they're doing too much. They're doing too much. They're doing too much. They're
With
trying to
not
make
enough.
everybody a minority or gay or trans, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to shove it down people's throats, in a way that's not authentic story to the person. Like when they were talking about making the black Superman, and I know there's the black Superman story. Superman's black. Superman's white. I'm sorry.
Black Superman makes more
I know
sense
it's a
the way
story.
Superman's powers work. Every time that comes up, I'm going to bring up that point because it annoys the shit out of me. If you take away his powers work at face value, Superman should be black.
I do think they would change the story for the changeling. Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they've mostly been trying to keep the stories and just. But again, are people doing stuff that's authentic culturally?
Like, you know where this stuff is?
Yeah, that was the question.
Right?
The what?
Well, I
didn't hear what you said.
I'm answering your question.
Okay, go ahead.
Another question. You know where these things we're talking about are being done right, but with micro budgets and usually by teenagers? This website that we are on right now with all of its fucking flaws. At least it's doing that, right?
That makes sense. Because I do think that, for it to be authentic to the voice, it has to be written mostly by the voice.
Yes, absolutely. Or at least by people who have had some interaction with the voice. Like, I have watched some good gay movies written by and acted in by straight men. So what? Actors' job is to act.
Yeah. The Backrooms fan channel.
That's a horror thing here on YouTube.
The guys who wrote Talk to Me were from YouTube, I believe.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I also really, really loved the movie Skidamarink. That movie scared the crap out of me. It was a horror movie that came out about a year ago, maybe a little more. Lego can correct me, I'm sure. That was made. Sad potato boy. Wow, that derailed my train of thought. Skidamarink, horror movie made by internet person with the tropes of internet horror, and movie people didn't know what to make of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you not like the movie Lego? Are we gonna do counterpoint again?
Uh-oh. Jew washing used on TMZ about Bradley Cooper's new movie. Oh.
He looks like the man. Like some Jews have big noses. Stereotypes have to start somewhere. The particular Jew he's playing had a big nose. Sorry, that annoys me.
No. For example, like when I've seen different renditions of Malcolm X, I think Denzel did the best rendition of Malcolm X, but he's also the best actor that's played Malcolm X. But yeah. I mean, I think Will Smith did a good job with Ali.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was the best I've seen. Maybe not the best, but one of the best I've seen, like top 5, is Jamie Foxx doing Ray Charles. To watch, like, that's just like, but those are stories.
Apropos of nothing, what the hell happened to Jamie Foxx? He disappeared off
No,
the face of the
he's
planet.
sick. He got really
What's
sick.
up?
He did that weird movie. I don't know what's going on with him.
That's
People are
what's
saying
up. Okay. I didn't know he got sick.
he's dying. But I don't know. I think the media's trying to change the narrative. His daughter said a bunch of stuff that he's just really sick and he just, respect their privacy, all of that stuff.
No, absolutely.
So how come it seems like Snow White's going to get it wrong and Barbie got it right?
Because Barbie wasn't trying to get it right. Greta Gerwig was just telling a fucking story that meant something to her. And, like, it happened to teach a lesson. It wasn't about teaching the lesson, I don't think.
Was it because it was her voice?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yes, exactly. That
No,
she
I'm
was
asking you.
just telling the story she wanted to tell, and it
Right.
happened to carry a message instead of building the. In Barbie, the message served the story. From what I understand of the script of Snow White, and what I can definitely say about Little Mermaid, is that they were using the story in service of the message, and that never works unless you're writing a public service announcement. That doesn't work. Absolutely.
And I think that comes to the art of art. So
Exactly.
You being a writer, Lago's a writer, I'm a writer. You write when you're writing your experiences, they're gonna be more authentic. They're gonna be true. Where something like singing, or rapping, where you have like the Drake, you had Beyonce. Now recently, Beyonce's been writing her own stuff. You can see the difference. But recently, Beyonce's been writing more of her own music. You need to see like Jay's influence.
Well,
I think
that's the thing that happens with all musicians that get famous.
Music's different.
Is that you lose touch, and your music starts to be about being a musician, which I think is happening. God help me for what I'm about to say. I think it's happening with Beyonce. She's kind of losing touch a little. Like, she made her magnum opus with like Lemonade, which was like Beyonce at her realest. And now she's kind of going off again.
Her opus was the Carter.
Of course you think that.
Of course.
I love Jay-Z. I don't know about that relationship.
Oh,
I love them both. I don't know about that relationship.
But I'm going to ask you this question. Who's her upgrade from Jay-Z?
Her upgrade is just being Beyonce. And not
but I'm talking about in a relationship.
Beyonce and Jay-Z,
No, I understand. But you also have to remember, no, she wasn't. I don't agree.
I'm saying she don't need no man.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
But you're thinking about a relationship. They're a business now.
Okay.
You don't think they're a business?
I mean, yeah, but so what?
You don't know who Jay-Z and Beyonce are? I can't believe that.
Beyonce was in an Austin Powers movie.
But I don't think
20 years
so.
ago.
Okay. So you don't think she stands to lose more if she divorced Jay-Z?
No, hell no. Absolutely not. That's my point.
Who's the richest star? Not the bigger star, because I know what you're going to say. Who's the richest star?
I don't know. I would question that at this point, to be honest. Because what's he done in the last 15 years?
What's who done?
Jay-Z.
Did the 444. That wasn't that long ago. But he's also
that was like 10 years ago, bro.
Why is he putting out an album now?
Now?
Why would he put out an album? What would be the point?
My only point of bringing that up is that the money might have, at this point. I don't know.
You have to remember, Jay-Z was a billionaire.
Yeah, but it hasn't exactly been feeding it. That's my point.
Who produced Lemonade? Rock Nation. Or
So you're saying
You
he
know-
doesn't have to physically, he doesn't have to actively be working to be making money? Is that your point?
Beyonce's his art, not his artist, but they own title and all that stuff. They own it together.
Right. But my whole point is, if that ceased to be, who would it be a bigger problem for? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking.
I don't think it was. First of all, let's be clear. I don't think it'd be a problem for either one of them.
Good point there. Valid.
I don't think it'd be a problem for either one of them. But I'm not. They're a business. They're in like a business relationship. It's like Apple and Microsoft.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you don't shit where you eat, because that complicates things.
But it does. But also, you got to remember there are kids involved in all this stuff.
That's true. But
Neither one.
how old is Blue Ivy now? Like 14? 13?
Gotta be a teen. I think she's
Old
teens,
enough
too.
that might not, that's not a thing like if the kid was a baby.
It's always the thing. As a parent, it's always the thing. And
Fair.
I
I wouldn't know about that.
also think that realistically,
And there's just the one kid, right? Oh no,
No,
there's
they
a
have-
boy child too, isn't there?
they had twins.
Right. Right.
You don't remember all of this stuff, and that's
I do now that you
everything-
mention it.
everything is brand enhancement for them.
Sure. I don't know if that's like, yes. Is that good? Is that how it should be? Really?
I think that whether it's good or not, I just think it is what it
It
is.
is.
Because
Fair.
when we saw them in concert, I keep telling people I was not overly. She was very good. I thought his performance.
You were there to
was,
see him. But you're
was
also
a little bit
like,
better. I
you're
love
also
Beyonce.
super fucking biased. I mean, like,
I
own
love
that.
Beyonce. I
Yeah,
love
but you
Beyonce.
love him more.
He's a Carter. She's a fake Carter. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I'm saying is that I wasn't overly. I was surprised her performance wasn't better.
Yeah, which was the point that Joker made, which I eventually got. Yeah.
No, look, hold up, but that's what I'm not saying. That, I think right now, she's an artist because she's still putting out a. He decides, oh, I'll sing a verse, I'll do this.
I'll
I
you
think
know.
he's moved into business now, and
Yeah.
again,
There is that.
I don't know if she's into makeup. I know she was in clothing. I don't know if she's in makeup. I can't say for sure. But that's what I'm saying. That as their tendrils spread out, you know how bad a divorce would be between the two.
Oh,
For
word.
both.
I'm not saying it should happen, and I'm not saying it would be healthy for either of them.
Oh, and I'm
just
not.
saying, like,
And I'm not.
intertwining business and relationship like that is never good for the feminine side of the business. Look at Sonny and Cher. You know,
I think she has the wherewithal of her, being her own brand enough. I think that I would say like she was a B brand. He was maybe an A minus, B, whatever brand. Together, they're A plus.
A+. It's fair.
But I
Yeah.
think she's still doing the music and performing stuff in front of the scene. And I think I don't know if he's getting writing credits, but I'm sure he's helping her with an album. Listen to how her songs are being constructed. Hold on one second.
So, how about
Sorry,
them
parents. No, sorry. Parent moment. Hold on.
So I just flew in from Portland. Boy, are my arms tired.
Close the door. We did that. So, all right. We got sidetracked from. I don't know how we got to be.
I could talk hip hop with you literally all day if you let me. I love that shit.
Oh, we can talk about
I
that.
could talk hip hop from 20 years ago with you. I think there's very little good shit getting made these days.
Well, it's so much more individualized now, and I think that's the problem.
I don't like mumblecore at all. mumble rap, and that seems to be all that's being made these days. At least
But you
on
also
the
got to
pop
think about
level.
it's easier production quality because they're putting stuff on full streams now.
Yep,
Just like,
it
just
doesn't have
like,
to be as good.
just like movies. So we talked about Barbie. We talked about Snow White. What do you think? Are we losing sight of the point of diversity and what it means?
Yes, yes. And you know when that started? When the term cultural appropriation blew up. That is a
Cultural
meaning.
appropriation versus appreciation. Talk about it.
Exactly. I think it is. I'm being very careful with my words here. A detriment to a peoples who live in a melting pot to say my culture is off limits to you because you don't look like me. But that has to be done with the understanding that we are a guest in another person's culture and to not try to shape it to yourself, but instead to respect it. Like, I can't eat. The easiest examples for me to describe are food because food, that's what I know. Um, I can't eat bell peppers, but I would never ask somebody cooking an Italian meal to take the bell peppers out of the recipe just because I
Okay.
can't eat them. Does that work as an analogy? Like, do you
Yeah.
understand my point that I'm trying
Yeah.
to make? Because it's a part of the thing. So, like, an example from my own life, spent a lot of time in New Orleans, and in doing that, developed a very great affection for voodoo and for the culture of Haiti and West Africa by extension. And I have been welcomed to see certain voodoo ritual and whatnot because I sat back and said, teach me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference, is genuine affection
Mm-hmm.
paired with the willingness to not be in the center all the time.
Mm. And I think
That's cultural appreciation.
that's hard. I think that's hard for people. So
Absolutely.
I was in the barbershop yesterday and I had my neurodivergent shirt on, where it said my brain and your brain. My brain was a colorful side, the neurodiverse side, and the other side is supposed to be like the neurotypical side. The guy sitting there, he goes, "What does your shirt mean?" I said, "Well, it means like like ADHD, autism, like neurodivergence, and what it means." He goes, "Like drugs?" I go, "No, neurodivergence," and I'm explaining it to him. And he's just looking at me. I go, "Well, let me say it like this. You think of somebody who's neurotypical, right? Their brain kind of works like this. I said, we think of somebody who's neurodivergent, their brain kind of overlaps and goes different ways. So your brain is just processing stuff different ways." He goes, "Oh, wow. That's interesting." And then he said to my barber, he goes, "Oh, knowledge is power." And it's just interesting to me because I'm so much into the world of like the neurodivergent and all that stuff, but people still don't know what neurodivergent and neurotypical are. And I work with people who are on spectrum, ADHD, all these different
Can I
spectrum.
can I ask you a question that I think is I'm genuinely curious of?
Babies come from the store.
Do you think that that's more prevalent in minority cultures?
I think that a lot of it. So I'll explain it like this: when you talk about outside of the United States versus inside the United States, I think outside the United States, there's not this big push for mental health and understanding and all that stuff. And I'll explain to answer your question. We were telling Patty's mom that Armani was autistic. She goes, "What does that mean?" Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that boy. You just don't listen. No,
Oh, there was something.
he's actually autistic, and and it's not making excuses, but having to explain to somebody what's actually going on and why they're experiencing things brings clarity to some people. I like to bring clarity.
Not by way of excuse, just by way of explanation.
Because I believe, like when I'm working with anybody, somebody's anxious. And I explain anxiety is just you being scared of what's going to happen next, not knowing what's going to happen, right? I go, well, for anxious, like anxiety is you being worried about what's going to happen. Trauma is your brain trying to protect you from having trauma again. Though, like in the most simplistic terms. I don't normalize excuses because it's not an excuse if you understand. If you can explain something to somebody, and that's where I think the hard
if you
part
understand, it's just a statement of fact. This is why I did this thing. Sorry,
Like
that is also, I am starting to understand in my own journey of understanding my own neurodivergence that is a neurodivergent way of thinking.
It could be, but
like feeling the need to explain yourself like that rather than just saying I screwed up, I'm sorry, is a neurodivergent thing.
And I think because one of the big through lines of like ADHD is people pleasing.
Boy, howdy, guilty as charged.
Because and I say it like this when my book comes out, they don't want to understand. So what I tell people a lot is you have somebody typically who's neurotypical raising somebody who's neurodivergent. They're looking for a neurotypical response from somebody who's it's not possible. I'm not going to be able to give a Jimmy response to a question because I'm joking. And it's that simple. So when it comes to excuses and responses, I'm so used to if I have somebody over me who has a certain way of thinking, they want to hear that way of thinking because that's what's normal to them and what makes them feel good. But that may not be what's best for the person. Life being weird. Oh, weird is great.
I learned a thing about neurodivergent brains that made me like feel like a new human being. Which I was diagnosed as a young person with oppositional defiant disorder. But all I was say again.
That goes a lot with ADHD.
That's what I was just gonna say. When what I was actually doing was responding to rules the way neuroatypical people respond to rules, which is just like if I don't understand it, I'm not gonna follow it.
2 chairs in a bucket.
You would think that would be the healthy interaction with rules.
But the through line, and I tell people this, and I see this so much, is that most of the time people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want us to. They don't want to.
I don't respect that. Like that ties back to what we were talking about. I think before we were on camera about I don't remember the context we were talking about it in, but the idea of not engaging with something because you feel you have to.
I think
not doing the work of being human. Also, I don't understand people. Maybe this is just because I'm neurodivergent and most everyone I hang out with is. I don't understand people who are unwilling to do the work of being human. That is a thing that fucking baffles me.
A lot of so when I tell people this all the time when they're trying to understand, I say I don't even understand. Autism is ADHD are so specific. I'm not getting a liar out of me. I'm not. I'm tired. I don't care. If you can't hear me, I'll say it. I really don't. So what I was going to say is that a lot of time people don't want to put that effort and energy into understand.
I understand that. I mean, I know that that's a thing, but I don't understand it. Like, it just like the unexamined life seems deeply both boring and unfulfilling to me.
I think that people don't want to know what they don't know, and they don't want to understand what they don't know, and it takes time. It takes so much time to sit there. I've been around autism for 45 years, and I still am learning new stuff every single day. But it goes back to what you said. You have to ask questions. That's how you learn. I can't appreciate the culture of somebody who's going like, listen. So I'll take Legault. I have to ask Legault questions to understand how Legault's brain works. That's the only way to understand the culture of Legault's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then understanding you. Like I learned so much about like just the trans culture from you, but you're only one example of it. Mm-hmm. You're not the totality of all trans people because I've worked with other people.
No one is the totality of anything
exactly. Except for Rachel
yeah.
Ziegler. Except for Rachel Ziegler. I exert so much pain.
Yes, and that's why you're one of my favorite people, because I do too.
And it's interesting because I don't necessarily want to understand the why. I want to understand how people get there. Like the why is important, but to me, the how.
I feel like those two things, the answer is usually kind of part and parcel. Like if you understand one,
how,
the other comes easy.
Why I'm there is going to answer like so. A diagnosis is the why. How do I navigate with the diagnosis? How is the backdrop to the why?
It's like the why is trauma. The how is how that trauma came to be. And like
and how you're dealing with it. And how you're responding to it.
But you have to understand one of those things to really understand the other.
You got to understand both.
Understand what hurt you to understand how you're responding to it.
But people also, have you heard of hyperfocus versus hyperfixation?
Yes.
You don't understand the how, so we'll use trauma. How I got traumatized is different than, why did trauma happen? Like what happened during a car accident is trauma. Assault is trauma. How does it affect me is different than why it happened. Because a lot of times there's trigger responses to the how it got.
It's about manifestation. And like two people can have the same what and have very different hows.
John Bainbridge, you're so late,
homie. Hi, John.
So much shit.
Well, there's that too. Like the sciencey chemically part of it is a whole nother fucking ball game that also all muddies the water.
All the mental illnesses and mental differences are brain chemical imbalances. That's the internal. The external factors are what people deal with. The internal.
All trauma, as we call it, is
hi, Mom.
It's imbalance in those cases, chemical imbalance. Really, that's another like what and how. What is trauma? How is chemicals?
All right, we're having 7 conversations at once, which
True.
is very ADHD of you, Jimmy. So yes, Lego, the why seems more important to some people. I'm not saying that the why is not important. To me, and helping people deal with their stuff, I have to understand how it's impacting you and how it's affecting you and how you're dealing with it, because that's what you're going to change. You can't necessarily change the why, but you could change the how. Hyperfixation. All right. Hyperfixation and hyperfocus. Hyperfixation. Do you know the difference, James?
Between hyperfixation and hyperfocus,
Yeah.
fixation is hyperfocus to the point of it being unhealthy, right?
So hyperfixation is hyperfocus can make you really good at your job. Hyperfixation means you obsess about something to the point where it becomes debilitating to your day. So I wouldn't say you're necessarily hyperfixated on stuff, Lugo. I would say you hyperfocus while you learn certain things.
Well, like, there are some questions I would have to know. Like, does the ghost sit at the computer reading,
Yes.
about her horror,
Yes.
about their horror stuff to the point that they're like not eating and not using the bathroom? That's hyperfixation.
Mm-hmm.
Hyperfocus is anything less than that. Right? Like, am I understanding the difference properly?
Yes. I think if Lego could go away and come back to the topic, that's hyperfocus. Hyperfocus can be debilitating too, because you can be focused. Video gamers are a perfect example, because they'll sit there to play video games for 10, 12, 42 hours straight, and they're not doing anything else.
Well, that all has to do with, like, the quality of that all has to do with whether you can monetize it.
So, Lego, I would say the simplest thing for you, this is just my unsolicited opinion. You take it or leave it. Figure out ways to break up the 28-hour block with other human stuff. Because if you think about it, if you took work, we could also be hyperfixated at work. If we work 40 hours, we just break up the 40 hours. The difference is I'm breaking up the 40 hours into different blocks. So I would try to break it up in the blocks that work for you. But that's also because you're hyper intelligent too. Oh, perfect. See, you got this.
I think listening to you talk right now, I just had an epiphany about my own life that's kind of scary. I think you have to have hyperfixation in order to be a restaurant cook. I think you have to. Because you have to be on for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time with, like, no gap, no break, and yet you have to be right here all the time.
Got a lack of serotonin boost. Other people make more.
Yeah, boy, fucking howdy, he says. I think the only things I find myself hyperfixated on are dumb shit. I wish I could hyperfixate on useful things.
It depends.
No,
again.
because it's at the detriment of things like going to piss or eating or like being
that's
uncomfortable temperature or whatever.
Yes, I think because and I'm not saying this in a negative way, you've normalized it in your head that way as paying attention, because that's how you pay attention. And probably when you were in school and it was boring, you probably found other things to distract yourself. So a lot of people think that when you get distracted that you're off, oh, there's something shiny, there's a squirrel, when in reality, you're not focused, you're not stimulated. Well, you're not stimulated. Because that's what ADHD is. Your brain stem's not getting stimulated enough.
And, like, I can pay attention to shit in the moment and then have it just like, you can't do that with something you're focused on.
All right. Let's do it. Let's get to your last topic. Last two topics. Oh, wait.
Cover to cover in a day, I was the same kind of reader.
But I can't see. I like to read a lot, but I couldn't do that because I would lose interest and stuff for a long time. But that's why I can't binge shows either.
Heard.
Yeah, and I, again, with hyperfixation, it's really hard. Like, has anybody seen Atypical? He was hyperfixated on penguins, and that's all he talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Or if you look at like Good Doctor, he's hyperfixated in medical stuff, but because he's a surgeon, it's okay, and it gets normalized as part of his career.
We used to call that term the idiot savant. I know you can't use that phrase anymore, but it really does mean something, and they really haven't come up with an appropriate replacement.
Don't ask him.
Where it's like you're super good at one thing at the detriment of everything else.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. I love it. Cracks me up. They have Savant syndrome, so they got rid of Asperger's, that term, but in The Good Doctor, he said he's literally diagnosed with Savant syndrome. They call him.
Is that what they call it now?
It's always
the
been
term idiot that's offensive. Got it.
I've never heard idiot. I shouldn't say never. I haven't heard it like
as a diagnostic phrase
appropriately used as an idiot savant. That's probably like a colloquial. Look, we gotta talk about that because I'm actually writing. I think my next book, two books, is going to be on ADHD because I'm having so many clients that have ADHD, so many people, and it's so prevalent and overwhelming. Anyway, let's land the plane with neurodivergence, which is the topic we seem to always come back to. All right, Jimmy.
Yes.
Transgender movement. So I know I saw this article I sent you. 2021. There were 27 anti-LGBTQ bills enacted. So talking about those bills, more than 55 directly targeted transgender girls and women in sports and will prevent them from playing on teams that align them with gender identity. What are your thoughts on that? I know we've talked about this a little bit.
Can I say a thing that's not related to the question first? That just
you can say whatever you want. This is
I wish in these descriptions of these laws that they would quit calling them LGBT laws, because what they really are anti-T laws. And like gay men who do drag get caught in the crossfire, but even all the anti-drag stuff is really about transgender people, and it's really like rooted in the same fear of like, I spent my whole life having to be a manly man, even though sometimes I wanted to cry, but I couldn't in front of people because I'm a manly man. And there, or whatever the feminine equivalent is. I don't know. I wanted to be tough, but I couldn't because I was expected to be a feminine woman. Whatever it is.
So here's some fun facts for you.
And like, people are unwilling to accept people who muddy that boundary because then they have to think about it, and they'd rather just like rail against the people that make them think than do the thinking.
Yeah. At least 35 of the more than 250. I'm sorry. At least 35 of the more 250 bills proposed in 2021 would unnecessarily regulate or prohibit transgender youth from being able to access best practice, age-appropriate, gender-affirming medical care. They were talking about the bills in particular. Hold on. A small part of the overpopulation in school. Wait. They said that the bills basically. They were saying that the bills basically were aimed at transgender men becoming women that were going to compete in the high school and college sports, saying that the men would have the men that became women, sorry, would have an inherently greater advantage because they used to be men.
These are people who have like a fifth grade education and nothing more in biology, because there are like, through the laws that have been written, there have been like multiple specifically black genetic women, like cis women, who have been excluded from sport because their testosterone is too high or whatever the fucking metric is. Like, it is all made up by people who don't understand or appreciate the intricacies of genetics and how gender works, and are just like, we are aggressively fucking stupid, and we are doing aggressively stupid, misunderstanding things. And it just, it's like, when people say men have penises and women have vaginas, that is not even accurate of all cis people, because intersex human beings are a fucking thing. Like, none of it is that simple.
It's all that simple, James. All they have to do is not let the boys that become girls play against the, what is it, cisgender
Cis.
women?
Yes.
Cisgender
Meaning
women, that's
the
what they
same.
say.
Versus
That-
trans, which means opposite.
There's a saying that, a lot of these people have no idea.
Yeah, that's a problem in its own right. And that there, like, have been rules carved out of these, like, no gender reassignment surgeries ever, unless you're acting on an intersex baby without even talking to their parents about it. Like, the logic just doesn't lie. The math doesn't math. The logic doesn't logic.
So how do you feel about these kind of ideas? Do you think they're in, like, these ideas against participation?
So, this is going to be a roundabout, like a long way to the actual answer, but go with me, please. Another advantage to have being raised by my grandparents is that I was taught a very deep understanding of the Holocaust and of genocide. And all these rules are, all they are designed to do, truly, is other trans people. And it starts with kids, because people get uppity about kids. So,
Yep.
like, an easy way in. But all it is trying to do is make us foreign, and make us other, and to segregate us out, so that you can then go on to all the other steps of genocide, which they are doing with scary activity and scary, like, parallel to what happened not all that long ago in human history. And it drives me, like, it short circuits parts of my brain that people don't see it. What's happening there? Because it's like, hey, look over there at that drag queen who could be diddling a kid while I'm actually here diddling a kid. Like, or like, hey, look over there at this trans person who got their face put on a beer can. Be angry about that while I'm taking your Social Security and taking your health care and making it so you have to work 40 hours a week just to live. And, like, you're not getting anywhere, so you're going to have to work till you're 100. Like, it's a grift. All a fucking grift, man.
Are we shouldn't we be getting away from vilifying different people, different thinking, different?
I hope
I mean,
so.
think about it. Let me ask you a question. 10 years ago, could me, you, John Bainbridge, go have this conversation and laugh about like the things that we don't necessarily agree on, or don't see eye to eye, or don't even, maybe not know? Because I learned stuff from you guys, just like I'm sure you maybe
I mean,
might possibly learn
could
stuff.
we? Absolutely. Is that indicative of the greater culture? No.
No. No.
Like, we, the collective that are watching this right now,
Mhm.
are smarter than the average. That's why we're here trying to learn about each other. Like, one of my dear friends said a thing to me
Really do.
when I was going off on one of these rants about people that make me crazy, that really summed it all up perfectly for me, which was, look at someone who is of median intelligence and awareness, and whoa, that half of people are dumber and less aware than that. It just like, most people have no desire to know better. And I don't get it. Yeah, damn it.
Go do a bit.
Well, if the I don't know if the hairy shoe fits, I guess. There's
So-
I want to say one thing, which I think
One thing?
a quote from the TV show Ted Lasso, of all places, but it's a nice, concise way to sum up how I try to live and how I think all people should try to live, which is be curious, not judgmental. And most people are judgmental, but the people here are curious, or they wouldn't be here.
I've never seen Ted Lasso, but
It's worth a watch. It's a fun show.
I've heard. I just have a bunch of other stuff to watch first.
Heard.
I like it. Be curious, not just. Of course, I think that one of the things when I teach socialization, I say, if you don't ask questions, if you don't know how to have a conversation, we're gonna ask questions. Two questions. I will go somewhere.
I would love to hear you psychoanalyze the main character. We should watch that and make it therapeutic.
Okay, I don't psychoanalyze anything.
Whatever you want to call what you do.
I
Therapize.
observe people. But yeah, I think that asking questions is important, and then embracing difference is also important. It would be boring if everybody was the same.
But and the start of that is asking questions and genuinely wanting to know the answer. Like,
did you see Finding Forrester?
I love that movie.
And,
Yes.
Sean Connery tells him that's not a super question.
Yep.
He's like, don't ask
Yep.
questions you don't want to know the answer to. Like,
Yep.
don't be fake, interested. And I think that's important. Last section. Love and
You said
Kip.
that about the last one.
Huh?
I said
No.
you said that about the last one. I'm giving you shit.
Ooh.
Fine. Y'all are taking
Yeah.
me more literally than I intended. I'd like to see you therapize the main character, was what I meant.
I'm not really a Freudian person. Childhood's important to some extent with some things, but he's interesting. How's the love life going? I know you got a.
It is fucking wonderful. It is fucking wonderful. You want to know why it is fucking
what's it like to be happy?
Because we live separate lives that cross where they cross, and then they go away like this again, and they cross and they cross. I don't think I'm ever living with a woman again, ever. Ever. Like, having the ability to go, having the ability to go, okay, you're being weird, or like you're being hormonal, so I'm just gonna go over here and I'll see you tomorrow, has made my relationship so much healthier. Like, I'm just gonna chill over here, and when you want to see me, come see me. And like,
What's it like to
also,
be happy?
I should have always dated older women.
Okay.
Girls my age are crazy.
You never heard the saying that all women are crazy, you just gotta pick your crazy?
Sure. But there's a difference between insane and crazy. All women
Crazy
are
to
crazy.
me.
All women are crazy. Women my age are insane. Like, straight up.
What's it like being happy?
Hey, weird. But like, I don't think about it like that.
I do.
It's more of like a day-to-day, moment-to-moment thing, if that makes sense. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
It's a day to day. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you're never gonna cohabitate. You're never gonna cohabitate.
Hell no. Never again. Never again. Ever.
Men are
What
crazy
you
too.
referencing specifically, Nico?
Because we said women are crazy, probably. But I think men are crazy too. I just think it's different kinds of
Absolutely. But I can't speak to men. I don't date men. I'm just speaking about what I'm speaking about. It is probably true that millennials are crazy and hard to deal with, generally. I don't know. Because I don't date men.
I can't with you.
Why do you always assume the worst of me, Lego?
I told you because we
You
said
know what? That was me asking a question I don't actually want the answer to. Never mind.
tell him. So you're never gonna cohabitate.
I don't think so. Because I think that's where. Because I have come to realize that I am a difficult person to live with. I am kind of messy. I am kind of, I make the food I want when I want to make it. And if you don't like the smell in the house, tough shit. I do my laundry when I want to do my laundry, and that could be at 3 a.m. Like, I'm not an easy person. So why subject, if I know that, why subject somebody else to it?
Okay.
Also, a second answer to that question. I always say that relationships should last only as long as you want to be in them, and living in the same space complicates that.
That makes sense. Okay. Interesting.
It's also why I will never share a bank account with another person.
Oh, really?
It makes dividing messy.
You're not wrong. Well, Mr. Nail, sir, I think we did it.
And in under 2 hours, I'll be fucking damned.
Why do you say
You're
that?
getting good at this hosting thing, bro.
Who, you?
No, you.
Oh, thank you. I've been practicing.
You actually managed to keep me from going too far afield into galaxy brain shit.
But that's because, we wanted you to have... What did you get a questions today? We got to talk about some of the deeper stuff that we had brought up. I think we got to do a whole show for you on Joe Rogan. And what's the other guy's name you love? Peterson and what's the other one?
So,
What's
there's
the one
this
with black
guy
hair?
I listen to who makes dance music with like messages attached. He calls it Hope Wave, and he's done some stuff with Jordan Peterson that I've been listening to in spite of myself because it comes on in the playlist. And like, here's the thing about that man. a lot of his. Well, you're different, sis. We're not people. A lot of the things Jordan Peterson asserts are correct things, but the conclusion he comes to from the conglomerate of those correct things is completely wrong. And I don't understand how that happens. But, like, make your bed every day will make your life better? Absolutely a true thing. Make your fucking bed. But, like, is that gonna make you some sort of superior human because you make your bed? No.
Nope.
It just means you're gonna be happy when you get in it at the end of the day because it's made.
Fact. Well, Mr. James, Mr. Nails, plug your shit, please.
Buy my ice cream. Also, I may or may not be doing a thing with Lego in October. More to come. Be excellent to one another, as the great Bill and Ted say.
Thank you to Mr. Bainbridge, Miss Faye, the captain, Mr. Bainbridge. Who else was on? I thought we had a couple more people. Oh, Jake popped in earlier. Thanks for popping in, Jake. I don't remember who else was here. Next show is September 26th. My friend Emmeline's going to come on. She's a BCBA. Vampire Kiss. Oh. Apparently. BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst. She also got other stuff going on, so she's interesting. We'll be back with Overtly Opinionated probably early September. We're going to attempt to do the Barbie review. I'm going to hope to have seen it. And we're going to have more slander about Snow White because I have something
As always.
I want to pounce on Snow White. And I want to stomp it out and step on it and spit in its head just because. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Two quotes for you, Mr. Nails. I can't begin to express how remarkable it feels to finally love who I am enough to pursue my authentic self. Elliot Page.
Truth.
Also, Elliot Page. The more I hold myself closely and fully embrace who I am, the more I drive. Mr. Nails, please keep embracing yourself. Your journey is just beginning. We are going to, hopefully, we're going to be, talking about more topics. I do want to do a book review at some point. I don't know what book yet. We'll talk about it. Because me and Jimmy have had a lot of different variations of Overtly Opinionated. So I do like the book stuff. We got to get back into that. I actually got a copy of The Great Gatsby. I never read it. So that might be
one of my all-time favorites. Gatsby is a jerk and a fucker, but I get him.
He makes you feel happy. I got it. All right, everybody.
He's wrong, but I understand why he does what he does.
All right, everybody. We are going to depart the show. Thank you for tuning in to Overtly Opinionated. Joker out.